Thrilled to be here today. I have the opportunity to speak 40, 50 times a year on 30 or 40 different topics, but this, by far, is indeed one of my most favorite topics, and that's talking about what you can do to unlock happiness in life, in love, at work, and you name it. Happiness is something really interesting, though, because it actually is pretty hard to define, right? But you sort of know it when you see it. This is Mike. Mike was my Uber driver yesterday. What, you don't take pictures of your Uber driver? I'm glad you're here. Mike is a World War II veteran. I thanked him for his service. He pulled up in a really clean car, which is always a great thing. But I had a lot of work to do. I looked on the Uber app, and I realized, wow, it's going to be like a 30, 45-minute drive with traffic to Overland Park. So I just politely said to Mike, because he was obviously very happy, I could tell he was going to be chatty, if you know what I mean. And I'm one of those people like to sit in the back, if it's a longer Uber ride, do a little work. And so I just politely said, hey, Mike, appreciate you very much. Thanks for your service, but I'm just going to sit back here real quietly, and I'm just going to get some work done. He said, not a problem, Ryan, and off we went. So it was deadly quiet in the car, which was great. And all of a sudden I realized that maybe 5-10 minutes in that we're going the wrong direction. So I thought, hey, maybe he knows a shortcut, because I have friends like that too. We all do. And so he started going in completely the wrong direction, and it was real quiet in the car, and so I just kind of reached up and I tapped Mike on the shoulder. He went to the left, he swerved to the right, slams on the brakes, and I'm like, my God, man, I'm so sorry that I scared you. What in the world? He said, oh, Ryan, it's not your fault. He said, it's my first day as an Uber driver. I said, wow, I mean, what did you do before? He said, the last 20 years I drove a hearse. The happiness of Mike did win me over through the rest of the drive as we got back on track. But happiness is something it's difficult for us to define. We know it when we see it, and here is the scary fact, friends. Americans right now are the unhappiest they've been in 50 years, according to polls, but I want to zoom in a little bit closer on the small type, and that is just 14% of U.S. adults say that they're very happy. But what does very happy actually mean? You know that laughter, the giggle you get from a baby? Somebody told me early on, always put babies in your presentations. Babies and puppies, right? There's something really pure and innocent. My wife and I were sitting listening to my son with his headset on, playing with his friends, and he was laughing, and there's just something so pure about a child or a young man's laughter that we miss. Now, those of us that are parents, you already raised your hands in the room. You know that basically this is just right around the corner, right? So it's okay. But let me ask you this question. Truly, what does happiness actually mean to you? Or happiness mean to you? Or happiness mean to you? Well, I decided to look it up as I was preparing for our conversation, and it wasn't much help. Happiness is really the state of being happy. So what does state actually mean? Well, what I got to thinking about state for all of us in the room is that happiness really is in the mind of the beholder. Your definition of happiness, my definition of happiness, the world's definition of happiness is what I've been chasing for 50 years. Now, it's not a far leap, I wouldn't say at all, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We've all heard that before, correct? So some of you in the room actually think that Gizmo is cute. You think that this, anybody? Anybody? Some of you think that Felix the cat is cute. You know, beauty really is. I heard a laugh out there. Beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, but it's not a far leap for us to think then that happiness is also in the mind of the beholder. But maybe you found yourself here on this dark slide or a dark day where I'm not unhappy, I'm just not happy. And then some speaker will put happy in stupid air quotes, and whatever that means. So here's what I'd like to talk with you about today. What really determines happiness? According to scientists, there's three main things. Your biology, who you are, how God made you or whoever you believe made you. There are life circumstances out there that impact us all the stuff that we go through, right? And then you've got intentional activities that you, all of us can do in an effort to drive happiness potentially in our lives. All right, pop quiz. Here we go. No, a little early for that. Good coffee, by the way. What percentage is assigned to each? What percentage do you feel, before I unveil the big pie chart, what percentage do you believe is just biology and in your genetics? What percentage do you think is other people and life circumstances? What percentage do you think is your intentional activity to actually be happy? Are you ready? Are you ready for the big reveal? Maybe you're going to be right, maybe you're going to be wrong. Ta-da! So scientists tell us that biology, 50% of the happiness that you experience or don't experience is actually within you. You're really in control of it. What? But my boss is a jerk. I'm struggling with my marriage. My kids are flunking out of school. I caught my kids smoking weed in the bathroom. What's the circumstance that you're in, right? Well, friends, the good news is that only about 10% is all the other stuff. We've got way more control than we ever thought. Here's my journey. Iowa farm kid, grew up on a hog farm, and boy, was it smelly. I was always afraid that I'd go to school smelling a little bit by pigs. I said, I will be happy if I get off this stinking farm. If I never set foot on a farm again, and I just get to the nearest big town, which was Chicago. Then I thought, hey, I'm going to be happy if I get into college in Chicago. I'm going to graduate from college. Then I'm going to be happy. Then if I could just get my first job, I always wanted to be in the TV and media business. I got a job in radio, and I was pretty darn cool, I'll be honest with you. And I still wasn't happy. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get in the TV business. That's where I'm going to find my happiness. And it was great, but I was still searching. And I thought, oh, I need to find a really good partner in life. And by the way, I did, 27 years later. And then I thought, you know what, in TV, if I could just win an Emmy Award. And I did. And I still was freaking searching for happiness. Then my wife and I built a .com company and sold it right before the bubble burst for $500,000. It was all about horses, called horsecity.com. And we thought we were happy, but it was fleeting. It was gone. And then I thought if I could just get people to pay me to stand in front of them and speak, then I will ultimately be happy. And then guess what happened? I'm laying in bed one night, and I say to myself in my mind, if I don't wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be okay with that. No, I wasn't thinking of killing myself. I think it's terribly selfish. But I thought to myself, if I don't wake up tomorrow, it's okay. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I'm supremely confident I'm going to heaven if they'll let me pass the gates when I get there. I've got a lot of things to atone for, to be honest, but I'm going to hopefully get in. What I was living, friends, is what some of you might be experiencing today, and is referred to as the illusion of happiness. Friends, you've got to create your own definition of happiness, because if you're like me and you continue to spend your entire rest of your life, however long God's going to keep you on this planet, living under somebody else's definition, you're always going to be miserable. But more importantly, you're always going to be searching. And that's what I was doing until I unlocked the secrets. So let me ask you this question. What are 3 things that make you happy? What are 3 things? All right, join me in this exercise. Close your eyes for a second. Set down your coffee, don't spill. What are 3 things that if they could happen in the next 30, 60, 90 days, what are 3 things that would really make you happy? Think of those 3 things quickly. Then I want you to look at my list. How many people have these 3 things on your list? The bills being paid. Oh, a couple of you. How about the health of your family? Very important to me. Thank you. How about taking a good nap? Anybody with me on that? Oh, let me tell you something. I'm so good. I'm like a professional napper. In my town, we have recliners in our movie theaters. Let me tell you something. Give me my CPAP and a beer, and I'm there all night long, right? It makes me happy. It really does. All right, so let's back up. Let's start over. Let's pretend that we're going to win the race. Happiness is on the other side of the stage. We're going to start over, and let's do it together, because I found it. I have found happiness, and I'm happy to share my happiness with you. Friends, first, you're never going to find happiness in somebody else's opinion. Would you agree or disagree? Another point to that, somebody's opinion is never going to pay your bills. Take that one to the bank. You agree or disagree? Number 2, you got to stop blaming others. Because once you lose your excuses, friends, that is when you will find the results that you desire. My beautiful wife of 27 years lost 110 pounds. And I'm so proud of her. She's kept it off all these years. I loved her before, don't get me wrong now. People ask her all the time, Andre, what did you do to lose all that weight? What was your diet? What's the secret? She said, once you lose your excuses, you're going to find the results that you desire. Remember that graph now. You're in control of you. YouControlYou.com. And number 2, you need to stop allowing others to influence your definition of what happiness is. Living based on somebody else's definition, the world's definition, is freaking miserable. I've been there, and a lot of you have been there as well. 4, you've got to recognize that this is where you're going to find happiness. This, friends, was the secret for me, finding happiness links every single day in life. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to yesterday. Life happened. Who's with me? Life happened, right? All right, so then I woke up, and I am alive. 10 fingers, 10 toes. Turned to my wife. She says, "What's wrong?" I said, "Oh, thought I might be in heaven." She said, "Well, at least you didn't wake up in hell." I said, You're right, baby. Life happened. Then I had a great cup of coffee. Who's with me? I love good coffee, right? Had a great cup of coffee, and then guess what? Life happened. And then I spoke further with my wife about some things happening with our son, and then life happened. And then my flight was on time. Who was happy about that, right? I was real happy about it. Walked through the airport. Life went on. Walked by other people far worse off than me. Some that were crying. Some that just were having a bad day. And then I got another great cup of coffee. Right? Then life happened. And then guess what happened? I found bin space to put my bag. Who's with me on happiness for bin space? Happiness for bin space, right? And I was one of the first ones to get on the plane. I still was, kind of lost in that. Then life happened, and then I'm happy to be here with you. But guess what? Tomorrow, guess what's going to happen? When I'm done speaking, life's going to happen. It's going to happen again. It's the little occurrences of happiness that add up to be the big world of happiness, because life is going to happen. And if you don't take a second to pay attention to the little occurrences, guess what's going to happen? Life is just going to bowl you over. The blue are good days. The red are the days in your life that are not so good. It's the links of the little things that make all the difference in the world. Think for a second. What happened to you today already this morning that was good? I bet you can remember all the crappy, bad things that happened till you got here this morning. You missed out on all the little cool occurrences that'll add up to bigger things of joy for you. Life is going to go on, but here's the good news. You've got it within inside of you, at least according to scientists, that you can control you. So here's what we want to do. We want to number 6, look for repeatable patterns of success. Then you've got to link those things together. For me, it's the jokes I tell that make people laugh. The ones that don't, you don't repeat those, right? The person that exemplifies this the most is someone I don't care for, and his name is Tom Brady. Don't care for Tom. He's not my team. But Tom identifies, it's called the Brady effect. Tom identifies things that work and repeat them. More importantly, though, he identifies things that don't work and doesn't repeat those. That's how he was able to take the lovable losers of the NFL and turn them into Super Bowl champions in one single season. Now what's he got to do for football fans in the room? Figure out how to get back some of those things that he taught. Because Tom recognizes that happiness is in the mind of the beholder. So friends, I'm hoping your takeaways today are this. Define your own happiness. You're never going to find happiness in somebody else's opinion. You're wired to be happy, so dig deep. You've got to look for happiness in every little small occurrence and link all of those moments together. I can see it in some of your eyes. You don't think that it's that easy. I do this all the time. I can see it in some of your eyes. I won't point out who you are. I can see it in all your eyes. You've got to find those little happy moments and link them together. You've got to look for repeatable patterns of success, and you've got to believe that happiness is in the mind of the beholder. This is Ruth, and Ruth is always happy every time I see her in the park. She's there every single day. I walked up and I said, "Ruth, you always seem to be so happy." She said, "Because I'm surrounded by my family." She loves these birds. I said, "Ruth, let me ask you a real quick question. Do you not ever worry that the birds are going to kind of take off and maybe something will happen on your shoulder or your shoes or something like that?" She said, "Ryan," the sweetest lady, "Ryan, I never worry about that, because if one of the birds has a little accident, I just thank the good Lord that dogs can't fly." Be happy, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, you made me a believer.